house already?
No, uh, we had lived in Arlington, and I wanted to get out of the city. I wanted to find a place in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really funny because some of the places, the land was right, and the house was a dump, you
Yeah.
know. And, and and I remember Joy June, who was always my little mouthpiece,
Mm-hmm.
saying, "You don't think," she told the real estate agent, "You don't think we live in this dump, do you, buddy?" She was so
Out of the mouth of babes,
she
huh?
was just so little that she could barely make it up the steps, but she gave her opinion, you know. But we looked at places and looked at places, and finally I saw an ad in the newspaper, and so we had David and Velma and Florence in the back seat of the car, and it said a place called Beautiful Acres,
Mm-hmm.
and it said it was uh, I think it said 20 miles or something east of Ennis, Texas. Didn't give a town
Okay.
at all, you know. Didn't give a town, but it said it said down Highway 148. So we found 148 and came down to the intersection here at the corner, and there was a guy tried to change his tire, very very drunk, and couldn't. And I said, "Well, where is this Beautiful Acres?" And he mumbled, and you couldn't understand a thing he was saying. He was so drunk, and and he and then he said, "Yonder goes Oman Cumberland, Cumberland, Cumberland." And I said,
Probably.
"Who?" "Mr. Cumberland." And he never did pronounce it correctly, but anyhow, we saw this black pickup truck coming out of his driveway, and so we followed him and went down here to the church.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Wednesday, and he said, "Well, I'm going into prayer meeting now," but he said, "I have here," and he opened his glove box. He said, "I have a plat of the land." So he had this land was divided off into things. So, and back then, their drainage ditch was very shallow.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the water has washed it deep now. So we just went across the drainage ditch and went right up. And the amazing thing was that Daddy Cecil stepped out of the car, and he put his foot on the ground, and when his foot touched the ground, he said, "This is it." And I said, "Well, hon, wait, let me get the shovel and try the soil." He said, "Joy, this is it." And then I found out later that we have 5 different distinct colors of soil in this place.
Really?
Happened to be Sandy Loam where we were. But anyhow, later on, but he stepped out of the car, and of course, Velma and Florence were waiting in the car, and they said, "Mama, how soon are we going back to Mentholatum?" they they were so bored they didn't, and the kids were so excited when they found out that this actually was going to be their home, and so we bought it in 1972, and we just bought the 2 tracks, and then I right quick bought the 3rd track, which is on the other side here, going over to Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
And found out later that, and I told Bill Cubley, I said, "I'll write you a post-dated check, and but I want that other tract of land." And actually, and he said, "That's fine. I'll be glad to take the post-dated check." And I started, payments for all of it. In January. It was late in the year when we were here. I think it was November, and it took him a time. And he set up an amortization table
Really?
and financed it. And he was 63 years old. And he said, "Now, Miss Carnegie," he said, "I can't let you pay ahead on it until I retire. When I turn 65," he said, "you can pay anything," and he financed it himself, and he said, anytime you want to pay 2 payments here, you'll knock off this much interest over here. So actually, we paid off, we paid on each track, but then we paid, I think we paid the one over there, which is the biggest, because of the way the road angles. This track over here is more narrow than that one.
One by the Rock
By
Road.
the Rock Road and by the Hex Lane. Anyhow, the bottom line is we paid for it and the one over here, and then we paid for this one in the center last of all. But we paid it off, you know, very rapidly.
That's good.
The land actually cost us $1,000 an acre, and we got 18.5 acres. And the people next door that bought land paid like $10,000 an acre for theirs, and they got 2 acres. And then the land has continually gone up since that point. And so I always joke that we bought it when poor people could afford it. But
of course.
It was about 2 years before we moved over here then, and David was 8 and Florence was 10 and almost, let's see, is that, no, 8, 12, 14, isn't it? 8, 12, 14. And, but it was so funny that day because it was a thrill to me that we'd actually found a place that we loved, and Daddy put his foot on the ground.
He knew right then and there.
And he said, "This is it," you know, like what did the Lord put in a man's foot? But of course, it's been home, and we couldn't imagine any place else to be.
Yes, and I'm so glad it's not in Beautiful Acres.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh, if we only knew then what we know now.
Yeah, we never got that far. We never got that far.
I have to thank Papa for putting his foot down here.
No, actually, I was not in here to tell me the name, but Johnny Murray, who was an alcoholic, and he was so drunk that's the reason I couldn't understand him.
That's who it was?
That's who it was.
Oh,
he
guy.
lived on that corner, and then he bought the house across the corner, across the street there. But which is sad in itself because he died of his alcoholism, and so did his son. But anyhow, it was. It has been, and we moved here December. I'm almost scared to say 18th or 19th.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm pretty positive it's the 19th. I have it written down at home. But we moved here, and Daddy had a pickup truck. I mean, not a pickup, but what am I trying to say? The next side of that.
Like
but
a utility truck, or?
It was bobtail.
Yeah, okay, bobtail.
It was a bobtail. And so we moved over here, and Joy, of course, was the only one that was single. And it's real funny because Susan was married, and Cecil Jr. was married, and they both accused us of abandoning their children. They had their own homes and were married, but Joy came after work day after day and helped move the furniture and the closet contents and everything.
Really?
After we were always, and then the very last thing was that we brought our dogs, and Valma and Florence and David all rode on the back of the pickup truck, holding the dogs, you know, for us to move here.
Farm truck, not pickup.
The farm truck.
It was Rusty.
Rusty,
It was, yeah, Rusty is what we called it, but it was a bobtail, and it wasn't a pickup; it was a bobtail. But
that's the one y'all used to haul water in, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we hauled water for 3 years. And
didn't Didn't Papa always want to move to a place with pine trees and red soil in the beginning?
I think I did.
You did? Okay. I
was,
got it from somebody. I just
Yeah, it was me. I wanted to be, and so we planted some pine trees.
Oh yeah, and that's where the pine trees came from.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but anyhow, and as I remind your mother the other day, this right here used to be where her home is. It was the middle of an orchard that we had in here. We had 29, which was funny. Was I went to buy those trees that, you know, and fruit trees don't last forever.
Right.
And I went to buy those trees, and I bought all those trees and wrote the check for, I don't remember how much it was, but anyhow, and the guy got my check in his hand, paying for all the trees, and he said, "Excuse me, ma'am, I was just wondering, did you have a oversized corner lot or something?" You know.
Oh, and you
I
bought
said,
all the trees for the orchard?
After we had paid for all of it, picked all peach trees, pear trees, and you and I, we picked it all out and had it, you know. And of course the big Bartlett is the only one of that original bunch of trees.
Really?
But
Okay.
I said, "Sir," I said, "I've got 18.5 acres," and he said, "Oh, you got room for all of those."
More than a oversized corner lot.
It was funny because I got so tickled at the guy because he didn't want to lose a sale.
Mhm.
Wasn't going to argue with me about if I had enough room for all that many trees, 29 trees.
Mhm.
But
I remember the orchard when I was little.
mhm.
I remember it. I remember all the peach trees and
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I'm planting 2 new trees out here.
Are you?
I'm going to plant 2 more peaches before spring.
All right. I'm hoping mine puts off more peaches this year.
But
Oh, goodness.
of course, I planted the loring. You know, I planted a loring
Mhm.
like I gave you up here, and then I planted 2 other peaches, and one of them for sure died. I think I'm not sure which one it was. I'll have to go look at the labels on the trees, but one of them died. But just a few days ago, I had Owen Champ got out here, and he planted. I have been trying for years to get a hold of the pineapple pear tree because it actually has the taste of pineapple. And they would say call in the middle of December, or call, and I called the beginning of September this time. I mean December. But they said, they said call, and then when I'd call, when they told me to, they said, "I'm sorry, we're sold out." They always sell out of it.
What place is this?
It's the one that's,
Is it the one off 175?
you go on down past 175 and head east toward,
Kent and
but no, further than that.
Is it Chandler?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Chandler, that's it.
it's not the one right beside the clinic. No. Okay.
Yeah, it's Chandler, Texas is what it is.
Alright.
But anyhow, I'd like to go down there again sometime.
Okay.
The having it shipped was like $40-some odd for the two trees, which was more than I needed to spend to get it in. Because I go in there. I planted 2 new pecan trees from Chandler 5 or 6 years ago, and Douglas said, that's when I told you this story, but Douglas said, "Aunt Joyce, you'd have to live 20 years before you could have a pecan from that." And I said, "Well, Doug, if I don't plant it, my grandkids won't have it."
Mhm.
But
Thank
anyhow,
you.
we have, and I do not know what survived this year, because I had over there on the north side of the house, I had 3 fig trees that were established, and they're fine. But I had planted one that I thought was established here in the backyard. Oh, by the way, did you look? I didn't get you to look out the window when you were over there to see the bird waterer that Cecil gave me.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, you can't see it from here. it's right out my kitchen window.
Well, I gotta go back over there
Right.
to walk over the cupcakes for you, so I'll.
But
I'll look at it when I
anyhow,
go.
I had planted 4 semi-dwarf apple trees, and the one that's really well established, actually bore the last 2 years, is a red Fuji apple,
Oh, really?
and but they don't get to be but about 8 feet tall, so they're easy to pick. But the semi-dwarfs. But I planted the Gala and the Honeycrisp and the Cinnamon Crisp.
I like the Honeycrisp and the Gala a lot.
And I don't know, I've watered them and I don't know if they made it or not.
Oh, really?
Kept on working with them, yeah.
Well, that drought was so bad this year.
It really
so,
was.
Yeah.
And,
We lost 2 of our big 2 cedar trees in the backyard.
oh really?
Yeah, I just don't think they're gonna come back. We're gonna wait, see what happens in the spring, but I don't think they're coming back. They were big trees.
I know where some little ones are.
Oh, you do? I'll come over at night and dig them up when she's sleeping. You listening to us, Mama?
What?
Yes.
About the cedar trees?
Yes. I hear you over there.
She would have the back solid with cedars. She doesn't want to see the man behind us.
No,
I don't
I
want
do not.
I don't want to talk to the man behind us. I got cursed out the last time I went to his house.
Oh no!
Yeah, I sure did. But
Thank you for being a movie star.